You know, there are movie directors, and then there's Steven Spielberg, a filmmaker whose movies didn't just entertain us, they raised us. If you grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, if you're still growing up or you're a movie fan now, Spielberg wasn't just a director. He was the feeling of going to the movies embodied in one person. The excitement, the wonder, the adventure, the magic. And today, in a time where so many films feel disposable, overly digital, and algorithm designed to check every box, Spielberg still stands as one of the last filmmakers who truly understands the balance between old school movie magic and filmmaking techniques and modern filmmaking technology. Because here's the truth: Steven Spielberg doesn't just make movies, he makes timeless experiences. So tonight, I want to talk about why Spielberg's directing style still works today. It's something we need to get back to, and why his films still hold up decades and decades later. How he balances practical filmmaking and old school techniques with modern tools at his disposal, and why his approach is beginning to feel like a lost art that we definitely need to get back to in today's franchise, reboot, reimagining Hollywood that is all about safety. Spielberg stands as an icon that we need to aspire to. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. So when you think about Steven Spielberg and why they don't make movies like they used to and all of that stuff, there are these images that get conjured up, and I call it the Spielberg feeling. You can feel a Spielberg movie. Even if you don't see his name, even if he is a producer, you can feel the magic in his fingerprints on those films. There's a certain rhythm to them, a certain look to his films, a certain emotional sincerity that's often lost today, and a sense of wonder and magic that still feels real somehow. His movies never talk down to an audience, they invite you in. Movies like Jaws, E.T., Close Encounters, and of course, Indiana Jones, one of my favorites of all time, Jurassic Park, even today with Ready Player One or The Fabelmans, on and on. Spielberg's movies feel alive. They feel handcrafted, human, personal. Spielberg directs with emotion first, and that is the key. Emotion is timeless, so it always comes before anything else, before spectacle, before IP, certainly, and definitely before any brand synergy. There is emotion in his films. That's why his films age so well, because technology is going to change, graphics, filmmaking tools, trends change, human behavior and society and all of that may change, but human emotion never changes, and that's what grounds his films and makes them timeless. You can watch them today and experience them the same way you did all those years ago, and they have the same power and effect. And when I think of Spielberg, I think of old school filmmaking. Spielberg comes from a generation that believed movies should feel and look real, even when they are fantastical and dealing with fantastical subject matter. There should still be a grounded, real nature to them. He learned from classic Hollywood filmmakers. He aspired to people like John Ford, who taught him at a young age what is interesting and what is not. Directors that he looked up to understood blocking, camera movement, visual storytelling. He uses long takes, practical lighting, real locations, miniatures, physical sets, and a lot of in-camera effects that just are lost on a lot of filmmakers today. And something else that's lost that is very important is he believes in putting actors into real environments that they can react to. I'm a big believer in this as a director myself, albeit an independent film director. I think the real environments help the actors. That stuff matters because when actors feel something is real, the audience feels it too. It comes through in their performances and on screen. If you watch Jaws, half the movie works because of what you don't see. You see the characters building up to it, the feeling of being in that real environment, because the tension is built through editing, framing, shot selection, music, not digital noise, not a crazy overdone CGI shark. If you watch E.T., the magic isn't just the creature, it's how Spielberg shoots childhood itself. He does very subtle things. He puts the camera down at the child's height, at their eye line. So he shoots things from their perspective. You're in the kid's shoes. That's not CGI. That is directing with a vision, intention, and a purpose. And that brings me to something that I learned very much by watching his movies and try to incorporate into mine in my small measure. And that is moving the camera movement. It sounds simple, but it is a big thing. He doesn't just point and shoot, and he doesn't run all over the place with the camera. He choreographs.
And action. No, okay, it's got to be. Now, but you saw what Karen did was right. What you did was absolutely right. 1 second. That's the timing of the shot. It's in and on the look we go. It's going to be very fast.
One of his trademarks is the oneer, okay, which is long, flowing shots that follow characters through space. So if you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, Minority Report, War of the Worlds, Saving Private Ryan, you're going to notice that the camera almost feels curious and alive. It is very much what you call an observational camera, and that is important. It gives you a whole different, real feeling in what you are watching. He lets the camera breathe, right? He lets the shots breathe. Everything today is so many rapid cuts and edits to shoot coverage. People are in 15 and 30 and 45 second bites in their head because of TikTok reels and Instagram reels and all that kind of stuff. So people have this tendency to edit films and jump around, and shots jump around real quick. Nothing breathes. Spielberg stages his shots in his filmmaking almost like scenes in a theater. Blocking, movement, composition. It's old school Hollywood craftsmanship mixed with modern pacing. That's why his films feel cinematic and not just like content-driven, disposable whatever that we get today. And that brings me to his use of practical effects balanced with, yes, even CGI. There's an art to that. So if we talk about Jurassic Park, if you go back and watch Jurassic Park, the effects, the dinosaurs look better than anything we have today. Even better than the newest Jurassic World and Jurassic Park movies. There's a reason Spielberg pulled his name. He fought to get his name off of these newest Jurassic Park movies because this is like the perfect example of his philosophy, Spielberg's philosophy. He didn't just rely on CGI dinosaurs. He had to be convinced of it. First of all, it was a very early technology, but he also mixed it, right, with animatronics, full-scale practical effects, miniatures, real environments, and then he used CGI when it was necessary. It was like the polish on top. It was a finisher. That's how it should be used today, to enhance the real of what is there organically, not as the whole thing. It should be a side dish, a garnish, not the main course. That's why the balance of his films still works today, because he didn't over rely on something that became dated or trite and overused. He did old school and sprinkled the new school on top of it to make a product that would span across generations. And if you compare Jurassic Park to, it's not just the new Jurassic Park movies, any other movie today, everything is green screened. You can tell our brains are starting to tune that off. There's no real stakes. The actors give wooden performances. Everything's shot flat. I covered this in this ongoing series on why films feel so different today, why they don't make films like they used to. But in Jurassic Park, actors were reacting to real things. The rain was real, the mud was real, the sets were real. CGI just enhanced that reality. It didn't replace it. And even if you fast forward to something much more modern from him, Ready Player One, which by its nature is going to be a very digital movie based on the book, but Spielberg still took that and grounded it emotionally in realism. Even in a fully digital world, he uses classic storytelling structure, clear character goals, visual geography, you know where you're at, all that kind of stuff. It is a clear delineation in the film between what is real and what is not, and so it's purposeful. He never lets the technology overpower the storytelling. That's the difference. Technology is a tool, not the movie itself. And even within the context of that film, by the end of it, there is a moral lesson taught that you need to be in the real world, that real things are better than the fake things, than the AI things, than the CGI things. That's why they cut down the Oasis to just a few days a week, to make you understand that none of that stuff matters without the real foundations. And that is the same thing with movie making in general. And when you think of Spielberg, you cannot help but think of nostalgia. I am nostalgic over him, all the movies, everything that it conjures up, even with Universal Studios Florida and the rides and everything else. Spielberg understands nostalgia because he damn near invented it. He at least helped create it in a big way. He doesn't use nostalgia as a crutch, though. He's not trying to borrow cultural relevance from past films. He created the cultural relevance. His movies feel like memories to so many of us, like childhood, like discovery, like wonder. Like if you think movies, you think Spielberg, you think Indiana Jones, you think E.T., you think Jaws, you think of these big movies. Even his darker films, there is sincerity. He believes movies should make you feel something, not just impress you visually. Movies are much more powerful than that, and Spielberg recognized it from the beginning. And that's why his films stick with people. It's the emotion. It's how they make us feel. It's how they look. It's how they bring us into these worlds. It's not just because they have cool CGI, because most of them don't. It is all about the feel and the emotion and the spectacle that you can turn on an Indiana Jones movie or Jaws and you're a kid again, remembering how it was the first time you saw it, or E.T., any of that stuff. That is the power of true filmmaking, and Spielberg has had it in the palm of his hand forever. Even when he has to take over and kind of step in, like with Poltergeist, and do something dark, you feel him all over it, and it just conjures up the feeling of old school movies. And that's sort of the difference between Hollywood then versus now. There was a time when Hollywood studios trusted filmmakers, and filmmakers, directors like Spielberg, Lucas, De Palma, Coppola, even James Cameron and John Carpenter, all that kind of stuff, they were allowed to experiment, to take risks, to create new worlds, not rely on old ones, to Too many movies today feel engineered by a boardroom, by a crowd, focus tested, brand managed. Franchises dominate, reboots dominate, safe choices that check every box dominate. But Spielberg came from a time when creativity came first, not political correctness, not anything else, not do you have this person or that person. It's do you have the means to tell a creative, incredible story? First and foremost, that's what mattered, and we have lost that today. But not from him. Even today, he still directs with that mindset. That's why his movies still feel different. If you watch The Fabelmans, his most recent film, it doesn't feel like anything else you've seen in the last 25 years. They're not designed to trend. They are designed to last. The truth is, Steven Spielberg is something very, very rare. A filmmaker who understands both the past and the future of cinema, who knows how to use technology without letting it replace craftsmanship, who still believes to this day that movies should be full of a sense of wonder and magic and fantasy that you can escape into and live in those moments rather than be beat over the head with the real world. But the movies themselves feel so real, you're allowed to escape into them. That makes them timeless, human, and in a world where movies feel so disposable, Spielberg reminds us what real movie magic looks like, what it is, and what it should be again. So if you're like me and Spielberg helped shape your love of movies like he did mine, he's part of the reason I wanted to go into filmmaking 100%. I want you to let me know in the comments. I want to know what your favorite Steven Spielberg film is, and what do you think modern Hollywood could learn from him? Do we need to get back to filmmaking like those films, like the Raiders trilogy, the Indiana Jones trilogy, like Jaws, practical, real, tactile, and move away from the over-reliance on CGI and all of that kind of stuff. Move away from boardroom decided films and trust filmmakers again. I want to know what your thoughts are. I definitely have mine. As we continue this series, we're going to get into more filmmaking techniques, cinematography, all of that kind of stuff, because there's so many reasons that movies are so different today. But Spielberg stands there as sort of the beacon for what we were and what we should strive to be again when it comes to making movies. And that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you'd like to support more of what we're doing here, I'm restoring some of my own movies that I've made to put out on physical media once again. And I am jumping back behind the camera to film and kind of edit and finish up a horror anthology that I wrote the wraparound story for. And I have my own full feature film on the horizon. Lots of stuff coming, and I hope you'll be here for a part of it, because I'm going to have videos all the time. I love talking movies with you, and I hope you'll be here for it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.